My friends say I should leave you, but I'll give you one more chance to correct yourself, she said. I replied, how generous. Then I packed my bags while she went out with those same friends. When she got home ready to discuss my improvements, I was gone with a note. Decided not to take the chance. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. The air in our apartment felt thick, like before a storm. It had been like this for weeks. A heavy quiet punctuated by the rapid tap-tap-tap of Chloe's thumbs on her phone screen, followed by sighs she meant for me to hear. I was on the couch, pretending to read a book, every sense tuned to the discordant frequency of her displeasure. I knew the source. It had a name, Mia, and it had a committee, the girls. Chloe finally put her phone down with a decisive clack on the coffee table. The sound was a starter's pistol. We need to talk. Here it was. I marked my page, a simple, deliberate action. Okay. She didn't sit. She paced to the window, her back to me, arms crossed. A staged pose. I've been doing a lot of thinking. A lot of talking. With people who really see me. I said nothing. My silence was the canvas she needed to paint her grievance. She turned, her expression a masterpiece of pained generosity. Look, my friends, especially Mia, they think I'm an idiot for staying. They've been watching. They see what I've been trying to ignore. A cold thread began to weave through my gut. What do they see, Chloe? You, she said, as if it were obvious. The lack of fire. The complacency. Remember my promotion dinner? You got me flowers. Mia's boyfriend, Derek, rented out a private chef's table for her last Tuesday. Just because. I blinked. You said you love those flowers. I did, she said, waving a hand dismissively. But it's the thought. The scale. It's about showing the world you're proud. And it's Sarah's wedding, when that guy from the band was so obviously flirting with me. You just smiled and brought me a drink. Derek would have. I don't know, made a scene. Asserted himself. Mia says it shows a lack of protective instinct. Each sentence was a bullet forged in a group chat. I could hear Mia's nasal, opinionated voice layered underneath Chloe's. Your cozy job, she continued, using the air quotes I was starting to hate. It's stable, sure. But is it ambitious? Mia's dating a guy who's starting his third startup. There's an energy there. A risk. You just go to work and come home, and you're fine. The coldness was spreading. This wasn't her. This was a transcript. So what's the conclusion, Chloe? My voice was quieter than I intended. She took a deep breath, the martyr preparing for sacrifice. The conclusion is they think I should leave you. They've listed all the ways you're not meeting my needs. They say I'm settling. That I'm blinding myself to my own potential. The room tilted slightly. 730 days of shared mornings, of holding her after her father's death, of building this quiet, comfortable life together, reduced to a bullet point list in a group chat titled Chloe's Intervention. But, she said, and here she finally met my eyes, her gaze hardening with a sense of bestowed grace. I'm not like them. I'm loyal. I believe in us. So I'm giving you one more chance. The words hung in the toxic air. One more chance. One more chance to do what? I asked, genuinely needing to hear her say it. To correct yourself, she said, as if diagnosing a faulty appliance. To be the man I need you to be. To show up with the fire, the ambition, the grand gesture energy. To prove my friends wrong. We can start tomorrow. We can make a plan. A surreal calm descended over me. The coldness reached my heart and froze it solid. I saw everything with perfect, horrible clarity. I wasn't her partner. I was a project her friends had deemed unsatisfactory, and she, the benevolent foreman, was offering me a stay of execution to remodel myself to their specifications. A slow, humorless smile touched my lips. It wasn't a smile of amusement, but of recognition, of the game finally being revealed. How generous of you, I said. The words were flat, an assessment, not a retort. They threw her. She'd braced for a fight, for tears, for pleading promises to do better. She hadn't braced for this, for quiet acceptance. Her confidence flickered. I'm serious. I know you are. I'm going out with Mia and the girls tonight, she announced, reasserting control. We're going to that new rooftop bar. I need space to think, and they support me. We need to talk about this. She gestured between us. When I get back. So think. Really think. About what you're going to do to fix this. She looked at me, waiting for my counter-argument, my blueprint for my own renovation. I just nodded. Have fun with your friends. Frustration flashed in her eyes. She grabbed her going-out purse, the small, expensive one I'd saved for 3 months to buy her, and headed for the door. She paused, hand on the knob. This is for us, you know. This is me fighting for us. And then she was gone. The silence she left behind was different. It wasn't heavy. It was clean. Empty. I sat on the couch for exactly 5 minutes, listening to the hum of the refrigerator. I replayed her words. One more chance to correct yourself. Not us. Yourself. I stood up. There was no anger, no frantic energy. Just a profound, tectonic detachment. I walked to the bedroom and pulled my old duffel bag from the top of the closet. I opened our shared dresser. My side. My socks, my boxers, my t-shirts. I folded them neatly and placed them in the bag. I took the 3 dress shirts from the closet, the pair of good shoes. From the bathroom, my razor, my toothbrush, the cologne she'd picked out for me. It makes you smell successful, she'd said. I didn't look at her side. It was already a museum of a life I no longer lived. I went to the small desk in the corner, my desk. My laptop, its charger, the external hard drive with my personal files. The framed photo of us from a hiking trip 2 years ago, when her laugh was real and not a performance for her friends. I left it. In the kitchen, I found a notepad stuck to the fridge with a magnet from a winery we'd visited. I took a pen from the drawer. The note needed no poetry. It needed to be a mirror. I wrote in clear, unhurried script. Chloe decided not to take the chance. Goodbye. I didn't sign it. She'd know who it was from. I propped it against the fruit bowl on the counter, right where she'd see it when she came in, high on cheap rooftop cocktails and the validation of her jury. I shouldered my duffel bag, took one last look at the apartment, the couch where I'd held her, the kitchen where we'd cooked lazy Sunday breakfasts, and felt nothing. It was a stage set after the play had ended. I locked the door behind me and walked down to my car. As I pulled out of the parking spot, I took out my phone. I went to her contact. I didn't block her yet. I just switched her text notifications to silent. Then I drove into the deepening night, the weight in my chest not grief, but the eerie, buoyant weight of a chains finally falling away. I drove to Jake's place. My oldest friend. I didn't call ahead. I just showed up on his doorstep with my duffel bag at 10 p.m. He took one look at my face, stepped aside without a word, and went to the fridge to get 2 beers. How long? He asked, handing me a bottle. Indefinitely, I said, and took a long pull. I told him what happened, repeating Chloe's words verbatim. One more chance to correct yourself. Jake, who had never been a fan of Mia or the committee, just shook his head, a slow, disgusted motion. So she put you on performance review? With her idiot friends as the HR department? Basically. And you just left? I just left. A grin broke across his face. Good. The only correct response to an ultimatum like that is to vanish. It's the nuclear option of self-respect. He cleared off his couch, gave me a blanket and pillow. As I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling of his spare room, I waited for the pain to hit. The grief, the heartbreak, the longing. It didn't come. In its place was a vast, empty quiet. It wasn't peaceful, not yet. It was just null, the emotional equivalent of white noise. My phone, face down on the floor, lit up at 12:37 a.m. A call. Chloe's name. I watched it ring until it went to voicemail. A minute later, it buzzed with a text. I didn't look. It buzzed 3 more times in quick succession. Then silence. In the morning, over coffee, I finally checked. The first voicemail, timestamped 12:37 a.m. Background noise of laughter and clinking glasses. Then her voice, slurred and loud. Hey, where are you? We need to talk when I get home, remember? Call me. A giggle in the background, unmistakably Mia's. Just call me, okay? The texts, 12:41 a.m. Hello? Are you really not home? 12:55 a.m. This is childish. You're just trying to punish me. It's not going to work. 1:15 a.m. Fine. Whatever. Be like that. We'll talk tomorrow. I felt nothing. Not anger, not hurt. It was like reading messages meant for a previous tenant. I took a screenshot of the note I'd left, saved it to my phone. Then, methodically, I blocked her number. I blocked her on every social media app, Instagram, Facebook, even the professional one she never used. It wasn't an act of anger. It was digital sanitation. Cutting a tie to a source of infection. Jake watched me. You okay, man? I don't know what I am, I said honestly. But I'm not sad. I think I'm free. That was day 1. The first week was a lesson in silence. My world, which had for 2 years been filled with the constant background noise of Chloe's moods, opinions, and social dramas, was now eerily still. I called my landlord, explained the situation, a necessary breakup. I needed to be removed from the lease. He was a decent guy, asked if I was safe, and said he'd start the paperwork. I went to the apartment one last time when I knew Chloe would be at work. I took the rest of my clothes, my books, a few small pieces of furniture that were mine. I left the key on the counter. The note was gone. The silence from my end was absolute. But the universe, through the grapevine of mutual acquaintances, began to feed me pieces of the story. It started with Sarah, a friend from college who was tangentially connected to Chloe's circle, but always fair-minded. She texted me on day 4. Hey, heard about you and Chloe. Just wanted to check in on you. I replied, I'm okay. Thanks, Sarah. A few minutes later, her bubble popped up again. She's telling everyone you had a nervous breakdown and abandoned her. Mia's leading the charge. It's intense. I wrote back, let them talk. It doesn't matter. Sarah, for what it's worth, I never liked Mia. She's a poison pill. Take care of yourself. That was the first confirmation of the narrative they were spinning. I was the villain, the coward who cracked under pressure. It was fine. Villains don't have to attend committee meetings. The voicemails and texts had stopped once I blocked her. But on day 7, a new number popped up on my screen. A local area code. I let it go to voicemail. Okay, you made your point. Her voice was clear now, sharp with impatience. You're hurt. I get it. This silent treatment is juvenile. Come home so we can talk like adults. You can't just run from problems. There was a click. The condescension was a tangible thing. She still thought this was a tactic, a negotiation ploy. She was waiting for me in the empty apartment, ready to hear my list of proposed improvements. I deleted the voicemail and blocked the new number. Day 10 brought another new number. This time, the message was different. The performative patience was gone. You know what? My friends were right. You are a coward, running away instead of facing things like a man. Mia says this just proves everything she said about you. So congratulations. You played yourself. Her voice was tight with fury. She was trying to provoke a reaction, any reaction, to prove she still had a hook in me. I imagined her in that apartment, surrounded by the ghost of my presence, her anger growing with every hour I refused to engage. I blocked the number. Then, for 2 weeks, nothing. Radio silence from her end. But the grapevine was busy. I ran into Mike, a guy who worked with Chloe's friend's boyfriend, at the gym. We were spotting each other on the bench press. Dude, he grunted, wiping his forehead. Heard about your situation. Rough. I'm managing, I said, re-racking the weights. Yeah, well, you might be better off. He lowered his voice. My girlfriend's in that whole crew. She says Chloe's lost it a bit. She rebounded hard with some guy Mia set her up with. Some entrepreneur named Leo. I kept my expression neutral. Good for her. Mike snorted. Doubt it. Guy sounds like a tool. Shows up in a leased sports car, talks nonstop about his brand, buys rounds for the whole bar to make a point. According to my girl, Chloe's all over him, like she's trying to prove something. It's sad. I just nodded. It was sad. But it was a sadness that belonged to a stranger. It had nothing to do with me. The next report came from Sarah again, a week later. A simple text with a link to a private Instagram story screenshot. It was Mia's story. A blurry photo of Chloe and a slick-looking guy with 2 white teeth. Leo, their faces close. The caption read, when you upgrade your entire life. Heartsuit hashtag real men hashtag no more settling. Sarah's text followed. She's making sure you see this. She had Mia post it publicly. It's so transparent. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The act of trying to hurt me with this proved my absence was a wound. They were shouting into a void, desperate for an echo. The final piece of the karma puzzle came not from a friend, but from a bystander. I was getting a coffee when I heard a familiar, shrill laugh. I glanced over. It was Mia, at a corner table with 2 other girls from the committee. They hadn't seen me. I took my coffee and sat with my back to them, partly hidden by a large potted plant. Completely obsessed, Mia was saying, her voice carrying. It's pathetic. He texts her every hour. Where are you? Who are you with? Last night he flipped out because she liked some guy's photo from, like, 2019. One of the other girls giggled nervously. Chloe said he's just passionate. Passionate. Mia's laugh was a razor. Please. He's controlling. He already asked her how much money she has in her savings. But whatever, she wanted a guy with fire, right? Now her apartment's on fire. Poetic. Does she talk about, her ex? The third girl asked. Oh, constantly, Mia said, dripping with faux sympathy. He was so stable. He never checked my phone. Boo-hoo. She made her bed. Let her lie in it with Mr. Passion. Their conversation moved on, but the damage was done. I sat, sipping my coffee, watching the people on the street. The grand gesture guy, the real man, was exactly what you'd expect. Insecure, volatile, and financially predatory. Chloe had traded a peaceful harbor for a dramatic, leaking ship, and her first mate, Mia, was already gossiping about the coming wreck. I finished my coffee and left, walking past their table without a glance. They were so engrossed in their drama, they didn't even notice me. The ultimate irrelevance. That night, at Jake's, I finally felt the first flicker of something other than numbness. It wasn't happiness. It was the quiet, solid satisfaction of a bullet dodged. The storm I'd walked away from was now raging in full force, and I was sitting in a dry house, listening to the distant thunder. The unfairness of the betrayal had faded. In its place was a simple, unshakable knowledge. I had made the only choice possible. Her life was unraveling, thread by thread, pulled by the very hands she'd entrusted with her happiness. And my silence was no longer just an absence. It had become a wall, impenetrable, final, and on my side of it, the air was finally starting to feel clean. The universe has a cruel sense of humor. Just as I'd settled into the quiet rhythm of my new life, crashing at Jake's, focusing on work, actually using my gym membership, the first direct plea arrived. Not from Chloe, but from her lieutenant. It was a Thursday evening. An unknown number with a familiar area code flashed on my screen. I almost didn't answer, but a gut instinct told me to. Hello. Finally. The voice was sharp, accusatory, and unmistakably belonging to Mia. Do you have any idea what you've done? I leaned back in Jake's desk chair, the calm settling over me like armor. Mia, to what do I owe the displeasure? Don't you take that tone with me, she snapped. This isn't a joke. Chloe is a mess. She's completely destroyed because of you. You just ghosted her? After everything? What is wrong with you? I let her words hang in the digital silence between us. Is there a point to this call, Mia? Or are you just practicing your dramatic monologue? She huffed, an angry sound. The point is you need to fix this. She made a mistake, okay? She was under pressure. We all were just trying to look out for her. But you took it to a nuclear level. You abandoned her. And now that Leo guy, he's a monster. He's controlling. He's mean. He's bleeding her dry. She's crying every day. You need to be the bigger man here. You need to come back and help her. She needs her rock. There it was. The breathtaking audacity. The same person who orchestrated my dismissal was now summoning me back for cleanup duty. I felt a flicker of disgust, but my voice remained level. Let me get this straight, I said, my tone flat, analytical. You and your friends convinced Chloe I was inadequate. She issued me an ultimatum to fundamentally change who I was. I declined. She moved on to a man of your recommendation. That man is now abusive. And your solution is for me to return and resume my post as the rock she deemed boring. Is that an accurate summary? She sputtered. You're twisting it. She loved you. She was just confused. She was clear. I corrected. And so was I. I am not responsible for the consequences of Chloe's choices, Mia. You certainly aren't acting like it. I suggest you help her, since this situation seems to be of your making. Do not contact me again. You selfish prick. She's suffering. Her voice was a shriek now, the mask of concerned friend fully off, revealing the spite beneath. Then you should be a better friend, I said quietly. Goodbye. I ended the call and blocked the number. My hand was steady. There was no adrenaline rush, no righteous anger. Just the sterile satisfaction of closing a malfunctioning file. The call from her mother came 2 days later. This one hurt differently. A low, empathetic thud. Carol had always been kind to me. Hi, sweetheart, she said, her voice heavy with regret. I'm so sorry to call like this. Hi, Carol. I kept my voice neutral, respectful, but distant. I don't know what happened between you two. She won't tell me the whole story, but she's not herself. This new man. I've met him. He frightens me. She's lost weight. She jumps at loud noises. I think you might be the only one who can get through to her. She listens to you. Listen to you. This was the hard one. The appeal to my old nature, to the protector I had been. I saw a flash of Carol's face, worried and sad. But I also saw Chloe's face, dismissive and smug, telling me I needed correction. Carol, I said, my voice softening a fraction, but with no give in it. I care for you, and I'm truly sorry you're worried. But Chloe ended our relationship. She made a choice to replace me with someone she believed was better. The fact that her new choice is dangerous is a tragedy, but it is not my tragedy to solve. I cannot help her. She didn't want my help. She wanted a different man. She has him. There was a long silence on the other end. I heard a soft sniffle. She threw away something real, didn't she? That's between her and her conscience, I said. Please take care of yourself, Carol. I ended the call. I didn't block her, but I knew she wouldn't call again. The dam broke a week later. A number I didn't recognize, calling at 11 p.m. on a Sunday. I was reading. I answered out of sheer morbid curiosity. The sound that came through was pure, undiluted distress. Sobbing, ragged breathing. He took my keys. He changed the passcode on my bank app. He said if I loved him, I'd prove it by giving him access. It was Chloe, her voice stripped of all its prior performance, raw and shattered. He yelled at Mia, called her a cancer. He threw my phone against the wall last night. It's all gone wrong. It's all so wrong. I said nothing. I just listened to the sounds of her life crumbling. I see it now, she wept, the words tumbling out in a desperate confession. I was so stupid. So stupid. Listening to them. To her. It was all a game to her. I gave up. I gave up the only good thing. You were my rock. You were my home. And I handed you a list of complaints from people who don't even know what love is. A huge, shuddering gasp. Please. I need you. I'm scared. I have nowhere to go. Please. There it was. The full circle moment. The plea from the depths of the hole she'd chosen to jump into. I waited for the old instincts to kick in, the urge to soothe, to fix, to rescue. I felt only a profound, hollow emptiness. Her pain was real, but it was happening to a stranger. Chloe, I said, my voice calm, clear, and utterly devoid of the warmth she was begging for. She caught her breath, hearing her name, hoping it was a lifeline. That sounds very difficult, I continued, using the same tone I'd use with a colleague describing a frustrating, but not my problem, client. I hope you figure it out. The silence on her end was absolute. I'd thrown her a sentence of hollow politeness, a social nicety, when she was begging for a parachute. It was the coldest thing I could have done. Then came a whisper, broken and small. That's it. After everything? You hope I figure it out? Yes, I said simply. I heard the click as she hung up. I placed my phone down, finished my chapter, and went to sleep. My sleep was dreamless and deep. The final piece of the puzzle arrived not as a confrontation, but as a digital whisper. A direct message on Instagram, from an account I barely remembered. Mark, Mia's long-suffering boyfriend. The message was just a series of screenshot images and 3 words. Thought you should know. The screenshots were from a private group chat titled The Council. The arrogance was staggering. The members were Mia, Sarah from the wedding, and another girl. The messages were time-stamped from before the ultimatum. Mia, Chloe's guy is such a beta. He's holding her back. She needs a push. Sarah, isn't he nice to her though? Mia, nice is code for boring. My cousin Leo is in town. He's all alpha. Fake it till you make it, baby. He'll blow her mind and her ex's ego. Other girl, what if she doesn't go for it? Mia, then we make her see how lacking her current model is. We stage an intervention. List the flaws. She's impressionable. She'll crack. Either he shapes up, doubtful, or she upgrades to Leo. Win-win. The last screenshot was from just a few days ago. Mia, update. Leo is a psycho. Chloe's a wreck. This is more drama than I bargained for. But honestly, it's kind of her karma for being so weak-willed. Should have stuck with her safe bet. I stared at the screen. There was no rage. It was just clinical confirmation. Chloe hadn't just listened to her friends. She'd been a pawn in Mia's game of social chess, a game where winning meant creating the most drama. I typed back to Mark, thanks. Hope you find your way out too. He replied with a thumbs up. Months passed. I moved into my own place, a small, bright apartment that held only my energy. I got a promotion. The cozy job had quiet, steady respect that translated into real responsibility and a significant raise. I spent my weekends hiking or having beers with Jake or learning to cook meals that I alone chose. I was in a popular coffee shop near my new office, waiting for my order, scrolling on my phone. I felt a presence hover, a familiar scent of perfume undercut by cigarette smoke. I looked up. It was Chloe. She looked diminished. The light in her eyes that I'd once loved was gone, replaced by a skittish wariness. She was too thin, her clothes hanging loosely. She clutched a to-go cup like a shield. "Hi," she said, her voice barely a whisper. I gave a slight, polite nod. "Chloe, you look good," she said, her eyes scanning me. I was tanned from hiking, my shoulders broader from consistent lifting. I looked, for the first time in years, entirely at ease. "Thank you." My almond milk latte was called. I collected it from the counter. She was still standing there, an obstacle between me and the door. I know what Mia did," she blurted out, her words rushing together. "Mark showed me the chats. I get it now. You were right to leave. I was blind. I was an idiot. I lost everything. My apartment, my savings, my self-respect." Her eyes glistened. "Leo's gone. Took what he could and left." I took a sip of my latte. It was perfectly bittersweet. "I'm aware." She flinched at my tone. It wasn't cruel. It was just factual. "Is there any way we could ever get coffee? Sometime? As friends? Just to talk? I think I need closure." I looked at her then, really looked. I searched for any remnant of the woman I'd loved, for any spark that belonged to her and not to Mia's committee. I saw only a hollowed-out stranger, a monument to bad choices. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Lisa, a woman I'd been seeing for a few weeks. She was funny, independent, and thought my cozy job was fascinatingly complex. She'd sent a funny meme about our planned hike tomorrow. A small, genuine smile touched my lips before I could stop it. Chloe saw it. Her face fell, understanding dawning that the smile wasn't for her, would never be for her again. I glanced at my watch, a simple, reliable piece. "No," I said, my voice calm and final. "I don't think so." I met her eyes one last time, and in mine, she saw the truth she'd been fearing. Not hatred, not lingering pain, but a clean, uncluttered indifference. She was a footnote in a chapter I'd finished writing long ago. "Take care, Chloe," I said. It wasn't a wish for her well-being. It was a punctuation mark. I stepped around her and walked out into the sunny afternoon. The air was fresh. My phone buzzed again with another message from Lisa. I typed a quick reply, a real smile spreading across my face, and slipped the phone back into my pocket. I didn't look back. I had a life to get to, one I'd built for myself, brick by quiet brick, in the peaceful silence she'd left behind. Edit/update. To everyone asking, no, I never replied to Mark or confronted Mia. Their own ecosystem of toxicity is consuming itself just fine without me. And to the person who DM'd me saying I was too harsh, you've clearly never been handed a one more chance to fundamentally alter your soul by a committee. The kindest thing you can do for everyone involved is to simply refuse to play. And that, folks, is why you never accept a chance from someone who should be your partner, not your probation officer. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.